Welcome back. Director of Implementation in the Office of the Prime Minister, Nancy Charles, on Wednesday announced government's plans to provide social stabilization for non-NIC contributors. Charles says it is the hope of the government that the monetary relief provided will cushion the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic to some extent. Genevieve Gonzague reports.
People in the informal sector, that is, people who are self-employed and are not contributing to NIC, are going to have some form of recourse from the crippling economic impact of COVID-19. Director of Implementation in the Office of the Prime Minister, Nancy Charles, announced that the relief that will be given are part of the government's social stabilization program.
As part of the process, government has agreed to pay a standard $500 for persons who meet the criteria. And because we are launching the program a little bit late because it was supposed to take effect in April, we will be paying from the month of April. So notwithstanding that persons would be applying in May, we would be paying from the month of April and for 3 months.
In order to ensure social distancing protocols are followed, forms will be provided and are to be completed online.
I want to make a special appeal perhaps to persons within that sector to go online to apply. The form it's very easy to access the form, and you can fill out the form from your mobile, from a tablet, from a computer. If persons perhaps need assistance in filling out the form, they can ask anybody, a family friend, a family member, a child, somebody to assist them in filling out the form. It's the basic information it's asking for: your name, your address, your telephone number, what sector are you from, and it gives a lot of specific. One of the things that we encourage, because of social distancing, we are encouraging most persons who apply to put in their banking details. We're trying to avoid the issue of issuing checks, and so people have to go on a line to wait for the payment. So as much as possible, we're asking persons to put in their financial institution, whether it be a bank or credit union.
Charles says people need to ensure the application is completed properly to ensure a successful procedure.
Two things that are very critical in filling out the form is that it is important for them to upload the ID, of some form of ID, an ID card, a driver's license, your passport, something that could identify you, that say you are who you say you are. And then secondly, they need to be able to provide some supporting document that shows that they were earning an income or prior to COVID-19. So by that I mean perhaps the craft vendors, for example. They can perhaps upload a copy of their certificate certifying that they're part of the Vendors Association or something to that effect.
This initiative, according to Charles, should sway persons to apply with the NIC. As part of the application, people must agree to sign up for insurance with the corporation within 3 months of receiving the support issued by the government. It is expected that some 12,000 persons within that sector will apply for the relief being issued. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Digicel is the newest partner in the OECS partnership against COVID-19, with efforts focused on procuring personal protective gear and ensuring that the education sector is supported during these unprecedented times.
Digicel readily answered the OECS Commission's call to action with a contribution of US $140,000. Of that sum, US $100,000 is earmarked for procuring personal protective equipment. The additional US $40,000 is allocated to marketing OECS educational content across radio and television, in addition to Digicel's SMS and social media platforms. Director General of the OECS Commission, Dr. Didicus Jules, commended Digicel's willingness to join the fight against COVID-19. Dr. Jules noted that the primary focus for the Commission at this time is on pooled procurement of supplies and equipment to ensure continued containment and facilitate the systematic recommencement of economic activity in the OECS.
In facing this disaster, we have tried to be ready. In viewing the global trail of death left by this pestilence, we have been sorrowful but strong. And even though it is certainly not a time of plenty, we are still grateful for the mercies that have graced us. It is in this context of gratitude and avoidance of complacency that we thank Digicel for the contribution of US $140,000 towards the COVID response mechanism of the OECS. We welcome this exercise of corporate social responsibility at a time like this.
CEO of Digicel St. Lucia, Siobhan James Alexander, welcomed the opportunity to assist in the fight against COVID-19 in the region. She appealed to other private sector entities to join in this worthy cause.
The time has come for corporate entities to assist with WELL endeavors that will help in the fight against this disease, and that is why Digicel has thrown its support behind the OECS Partnership Against COVID-19 initiative. The Organization of Eastern Caribbean States has sought to engage the region's private sector with the aim of acquiring all the necessities to combat the outbreak of this virus.
Dr. Jules cautioned against dismissing the dangers of the COVID-19 virus now that OECS economies are beginning their reopening processes.
We have been fortunate in the OECS and in the Caribbean generally to have been spared thus far the worst of the pandemic that has been ravaging the world. But we should not allow this to lull us into complacency. Black Stalin warns us that in times of disaster we must be ready. But he reminds us that in times of plenty we must be grateful, in times of sorrow we must be strong, and in times of joy we must be thankful. In this COVID season, we can take all of this to heart.
The OECS Commission says the Digicel donation will certainly go a long way.
Minibus drivers who operate on the Pave Rock Hall bus stand were pleasantly surprised when gifted with customized masks from community members. The charitable Pave residents said after noting the importance of minibus drivers to St. Lucia's frontline response to COVID-19, they believed it was important for the drivers to all have a quality mask as they carry out their daily duties.
They interface with persons more than the regular person would. So in so doing, some of the business places have partnered with us and they're giving back to the society. And this morning we have one of the proprietors who lives in Pave itself. That is Debbie's Sewing. She have come up with an idea to give the bus drivers on Pave one mask for each bus driver with the route on it, Route 5B. So we're here this morning just to give the mask out to those persons, the various bus drivers from the routes. And it is a very good gesture. The Debbie's Sewing can be also located, it's also located opposite Cots. It's a sewing center they have there. And the masks are only $5. So she went out of her way this morning to give each bus driver from the Pave route a mask from her sewing center.
There have been violent clashes between police and protesters in the U.S. city of Minneapolis following the death of an unarmed black man in police custody. Police fired tear gas and protesters threw rocks and sprayed graffiti on police cars. Video of the death of George Floyd, 46, shows him groaning, "I can't breathe," as a policeman kneels on his neck. 4 police officers have been fired, with the mayor saying that being black should not be a death sentence. Officers responding to reports of the use of counterfeit money had approached Floyd in his vehicle. According to police, he was told to step away from the vehicle and physically resisted officers. A police statement said, quote, officers were able to get the suspect into handcuffs and noted he appeared to be suffering medical distress, end quote. The video taken at the scene does not show how the confrontation started. It shows a white officer using his knee to pin Floyd to the ground by the neck. Floyd groans, "Please, I can't breathe," and "Don't kill me." Bystanders urge officers to let him go. He ceases to move and an ambulance arrives to take him to hospital, where he later died. This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Sports and weather are coming up after the break.